Thank you, saudara pengacara majlis. Yang berhormat Datuk-Datuk, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, award recipients for S3 2022. Thank you for inviting and giving us this opportunity to actually be on stage. I mentioned this morning, it took me more than 5 hours to get from Johor Bahru to Kuala Lumpur. I think without the help of technology, it could be more. Because I think this is where geospatial information to the waste actually really helps to actually charter your journey to Kuala Lumpur last night. So today, I wish to thank S3 for acknowledging the efforts done by Majlis Bandaraya. I'm given 20 minutes. But I wish to actually elaborate not so much on the geoportal itself, but more to talk about how it can actually be a potential to integrate other initiatives. Johor Bahru being Johor Bahru next to Singapore, being the border city which sits next to a developed country which tries to be the, which is acknowledged as a poster foil for sustainability, and also being the #1 smart city in the world, which is Singapore. And I think you look at the title that I'm trying to present today is actually how to achieve smart and sustainable Johor Bahru towards a greater Johor Bahru agenda using the portal of GeoJB itself. I think GeoJB, we started the journey way back in 1997 when the government starts to ask all PBTs to actually be using GIS. And there was a directive to actually come up with an urban observatory center for all PBTs. There's 17 to 18 PBTs in Johor. So that means they expect us to have 17 to 18 of central observatory centers in the whole of Johor. So when we work and understand with IRDA has its own urban observatory center as well, which encompass the level of where Johor Bahru is. It goes beyond the border of Iskandar Puteri, Pasir Gudang, and also a bit of Kulai and Pontian. So we think that when we established this in 2020 and went live, we thought that this should be actually extended to get everyone to integrate. There's 3 cities in the south of Johor Bahru, the south of Johor. Mainly the city of Johor Bahru, Iskandar Puteri, Pasir Gudang, and of course, if you look back originally at how Johor Bahru evolved, Kulai was part of Johor Bahru one time until they split and became a district on its own. So basically, the natural character of Johor Bahru is there. My city, where I am, Johor Bahru, I don't have everything. I mean, the 2 ports sits in Iskandar Puteri, another port sits in Pasir Gudang, and the airport sits in Kulai. So, in order to actually become a greater Johor Bahru, to match with our neighbors next door, which is Singapore, which has become the #1 smart city in the world, I think we have to come together and share and put our heads together to actually become a greater Johor Bahru agenda for this smart city as well as other initiatives. And today, I think we are actually going towards, everyone is doing their part in doing this smart city. So if you come to Johor Bahru, there'll be 3 smart cities and 3 applications that people have to go through. And I think this is not a smart thing to do, where everyone, you come to being the gateway of Malaysia, I think we expect people to actually make it easy for people to access Johor Bahru and to enter and make it as a place to invest, work, live and play. I think the next slide I mentioned next. This is about MPJB's vision. Of course, we have to strengthen our city as a resilient, international, cultured and sustainable city, where we do have a lot of stakeholders to actually fulfill. Of course, there's federal government, there's state government, there's government agencies, there's a Ministry of Local Government and Housing, investor, government agencies, and we do also have IRDA with us. And I think this is where we need everyone to understand our vision and to be on the same page for us to carry out what I mentioned earlier in my talk just now, which is to make JB a special area, not just looking at Johor Bahru where I am the mayor. We have to actually come together as one by looking at Iskandar Putri's potential, Pasir Gudang, as well as part of Kulai. Next. GeoJB is one of the elements of a smart city project. I think if you look at the slide, we have actually done something on eye traffic. We do have something on CCTV and safe city. I think everyone is doing that. We have free Wi-Fi. This is a state initiative, but of course, this free Wi-Fi thing needs to be updated and further enhanced. Of course, we have the free shuttle bus and Wi-Fi services. This is mainly for those, they call it the bus muafakat, which actually focusing on non-profitable routes, which the state subsidize or the PBT subsidize to make for people to have mobility and accessibility. E-Hikmat is a portal where people do business or do urus niaga dengan PBT melalui portal E-Hikmat, melalui program E-PBT, yang mana this is actually something which the state championed and spearheaded and put everyone to actually have a single portal, which is E-Hikmat. Of course, integrated traffic light management is something which is already also on the ground. Integrated water treatment plant in Sungai Segit, this is a project done between MPJB and IRDA actually, which IRDA has handed over the water treatment plant to MPJB, and we are the last local authority to be handing over our assets to IWK only last year. And of course, GeoPortal is one of the main elements of a smart city and a main element as an engine to be driving our urban observatory center, which we plan to actually complete by next year, early next year. And this is also in line with what the state directs to all PBTs to actually establish their own, and we come together for integration. I think this is where there must be a central observatory center, which I will explain in later slides. Okay, next. GeoJB as a data platform, yes. This is why the reason why we have this GeoJB is to create a data platform which combines 73 layers of information, of sources of information from various departments as well as external departments to establish this GeoJB platform. And I think throughout that we have actually established 25 web apps which is being used internally by our officers to make it a data-based decision-making process. So we want to turn in from being a very normal way of making policy decisions into more data-driven policy decisions based on data that we gather around Johor Bahru. And I think this system, we started doing it in 2019. We completed GeoJB portal within 9 months. I have to congratulate the team from MPJB. And I think we completed and we went live. We went live in 2020. We started in 2019. And I only came in a few months back as the mayor of Johor Bahru. So these are all the effort of the team, of the GIS team, and I have to congratulate them. And given this award that we won today is actually dedicated to the team that has worked very hard to establish the GeoPortal together with ESRI and the partner that we engage with. The output of GeoJB, as I mentioned, we have an open data gallery, a web application gallery, a dashboard, which is something which is easy for me to access and for me to actually monitor progress of each and every variables. Of course, the councillor gallery is where the public access to see who their councillors are. Johor Bahru has 24 what do you call this, councillors ataupun ahli-ahli majlis, and they have kawasan-kawasan yang they need to know who their ahli majlis are and how do they get the messages or complaints around, and how do they monitor the complaints, how they actually monitor the aduan that has been put in. And I think this is where GeoJB information, the public have access to more than 50% of information within GeoJB portal. And 80% of the information is actually accessible by the officers designated to actually do their work, and another 20% is for higher level usage of data. Next. This is to show the open data gallery that we actually allow public to access, and things like facility MPJB, so that people know kawasan Anjung Selera ini siapa yang manage, and if they have problems they know who to approach. Kawasan infrastruktur, actually to know actually the problem in kawasan bandaraya is sometimes there's too many owners of infrastructure, and people when they complain they will just say that it's bandaraya is supposed to be responsible. They forgot that there's JKR, and there's another thing in Johor which is the concessionaires that's been given by the state that actually responsible to actually be upgrading and do maintenance work. So this is where information needs to be done, because nowadays the public just put things on the social media because they find that there's a more effective way of putting their problems, and of course we have to address that, but we have to also educate to the public that they can actually be using all this open data gallery that we have for them to access and put in their complaints, or to actually view and understand how Majlis works actually. This is more like in the form of educating as well. And of course this open data gallery, people are very interested to look at the local plans, the approvals of new projects. And these are the layers that's being integrated so that we can have a better understanding of where the city is moving to, how it is actually progressing. And of course, the next slide is to show you the web apps that we already have, which is actually the GeoJB web apps gallery, which has things like carian plot tanah. By putting in address, you can know who the owners or the areas of the taman. Of course, cadastral lots, and pengauditan, where is the cleanest toilet in Johor Bahru, and things like knowing where is the dengue prone area. But surprisingly, alhamdulillah, when the COVID-19 pandemic started, the dengue cases went down to more than 80%. I'm not sure how it correlates to nyamuk, but that's a fact. But the funny part is, after Singapore borders open, the statistics starts to go up. Nyamuk dari Singapore. I don't know, but it doesn't correlate, but the statistics shows that it is on the uptrend. Maybe because the economy starts to actually open up, the engine starts to run, and that's where the nyamuk comes. Of course, there's other things that maklumat-maklumat yang boleh diakses oleh publik, antaranya bangunan-bangunan dan pengetahuan tentang permohonan-permohonan mereka di dalam kawasan MPJB. Dashboard gallery is where next, at the higher level, we actually use this to actually monitor progress on a day-to-day basis or a weekly basis to see how people respond to actually the services given by the Majlis. And of course, pemantauan project is important for us to actually view. The challenge is updating of the information. I think there's no point putting a system if you don't update. So this is where the budaya of digitization, the budaya of updating, the budaya of menggunakan teknologi ini harus menjadi satu benda yang important. It's a software which people needs to actually appreciate and make it as a way of, maybe way of life, to actually be part of Bandaraya. We have actually invested not much, but we know that what we put in is for the benefit of all, for the benefit of public, and there's a potential to actually further grow for this. I want to jump to the next two slides, which is the goal of Greater JB. I want to explain. Next. This is something on the web gallery as well. Next. Okay, this is the earlier part I mentioned about towards reforming of Johor Bahru City Hall, the goal of Greater Johor Bahru. I show you there's 4 local authorities in the area of Johor Bahru. And of course, all these areas are actually together with IRDA, and we want to actually, this initiative is not to compete with IRDA, is to value add, to complement, to work together, because IRDA is a federal agency. We are all local authorities, and this agenda is actually the agenda of the state government of Johor. And MB, we have a new MB. The MB is putting this as one of those important portfolios that he wants to carry through, because 50% or more than 50% of the population, of economic growth, of the GDP, or whatever you want to say, is of Johor, the whole of Johor, comes from Johor Bahru, or Greater Johor Bahru. So if we focus on modernizing, in actually improving infrastructure, improving process, I think this is the part where investors will look for. And of course, putting the sustainable development goals as the key basis for us to actually do this. Of course, the expectation is for us to be twice better than other PBTs beyond Johor Bahru, in Johor. So this is a challenge. And of course, one of the key things, next, there's 10 pillars for Greater Johor Bahru. And of course, smart city is something which is being put as a very important element for us to integrate and become one. Because when you have too many smart cities, people get confused. So this is where we need to come together. I am very impressed with Sarawak. Because Sarawak mentioned just now, Pejabatan Tanah dia integrates Jabatan Penilaian, Jabatan Perancang Bandar, Jabatan Tanah dan juga survey into one. I think this is where you cut short the process to establish one single platform which is useful to all. I congratulate Sarawak for having that orang kata kelebihan lah kerana sistem mereka. Tetapi this is the part where we have as a local authority at the south of Johor, we have to put in our prides aside. We have to come in to share. We have to come in to actually think of Johor, think of south of Johor and Greater Johor Bahru, how we can actually come together and share and put in things, integration of into the data platform that we wish to create. Of course, this is one part of the area of Johor Portal plays a very important role, and we hope to see next this GeoJB as a data platform for Greater JB, where we get to see the element of data integration, local data, data analysis, and data gallery be integrated into one for the 4 PBTs. And of course, coming next to the next slide, we wish to have 4 types of urban observatory center at the state. Of course, at the national level. Of course, we have the global one, which is GUO. We have the local, which is where GeoJB and all the PBTs should actually establish its single urban observatory center together with IRDA, which is becoming the regional authority that is responsible for a regional urban observatory, and of course, through Plan Malaysia, to have a national urban observatory. So that basically sums up my presentation. I'm not a technical person, but I'm telling you something which is what we intend to do and what we already have, and what is practical for us to actually move forward in progressing the country as well as the city and the state. Thank you very much.